Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time travelling toy collector, and this is another Transformers collaborative entry. It's one of their earlier collaborative entries, by my reckoning anyway, and it's Transformers collaborative with Back to the Future. And it's from 2020, and it's when Back to the Future was celebrating 35 years, along with Transformers back in 1984. So it's a fantastic piece, in my opinion. So spoiler alert, right up front. And it's Gigawatt, who is the time-travelling Autobot, who also appeared in a celebratory crossover comic between Transformers and Back to the Future. But yeah, Gigawatt is an Autobot time traveller who transforms in no huge surprise into a DeLorean time machine. Now that already is impressive stuff. I already love the gimmick of this. I love everything about this. I love Back to the Future. It's one of my favourite films from the 80s and remains so to this day. But the figure itself is packed with some really cool Back to the Future nods and features that just make it one of the coolest things, in my opinion, that Transformers have ever done a crossover with. I know here in 2024 we are soon due to be getting a Transformers and Knight Rider crossover, and again, something I can't wait for, because if it's as good as this, it's going to be fantastic. So we're going to take a quick look at the box and the box art, and then we're going to have a up close and personal look with Gigawatt, what he's like in robot form, and then I shall transform him off camera in the usual way, give you any comments about that transformation, and then show you the range of features, which are, as I've mentioned, pretty impressive, at least by my reckoning. Before we get into it though, it's a great time just to remind you that if you could like the video, that really helps with the algorithm and the promotion of the channel. And similarly, if you're watching this and don't already subscribe, if you could click subscribe, that would be amazing. Not only is it completely free to you and obligation light, it also really helps boost the channel. I'm really trying hard to get to my next subscriber milestone, and so a quick click and another quick click would really help me on my journey. But if you can't, that's absolutely fine. I fully understand, and I'm just grateful that you're here for the ride. So let's take a look, without further ado, at the packaging. I'll just slide Gigawatt back a little bit so we can see. This is, of course, reminiscent of the classic Transformers packaging. You can see he's out of the box already. There's some nice DeLorean artwork in the back there, Gigawatt down here, sort of Transformers, standard Transformers artwork there, although he's actually posed in a way that he can pose. It's unusual for Transformers artwork of the period. And there's the 2020 Back to the Future crossover with the Autobots, and you can see there the DeLorean is in its flying configuration from the end of the episode and the start of Back to the Future 2. End of the episode, sorry, end of the film. And there's some product transformation artwork on the top. As you can figure out, he was actually packaged in DeLorean mode. Just have a quick turn around to the back. He has a tech spec, 1980s style tech spec. Because it's in several languages, it doesn't have a huge amount. It really only has his motto. It doesn't have a huge amount of other information. It does have this. As I recall, he didn't come with a tech spec reader, but I think I have enough of those going by. And it's not traditional Transformers artwork or adapted. It's merely the DeLorean wishing off with flaming tires into the past, or of course into the future. So that's the artwork of the box. I'll just pop the box back here just for additional context as I'll slide the figure forwards just to keep it nicely in shot. And now we can have a little bit of time to focus on Gigawatt himself. Now again, this was, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more for you so you can have a really nice look at this figure. Gigawatt was one of the he was just being released as I was getting back into collecting Transformers, so I was really lucky because I managed to pick him up. So his articulation is exactly what you would expect it to be. We've got, I'm not going to bore you with it all, but we have hips, we have knees. There's quite a bit of hollowness. I mean, this isn't one of the most fleshed out of the Transformer figures that we've ever seen in our lives. But I would say it's worth it for the alt mode. I really do. There's a little bit of a weakness in his left knee there, from a posability point of view, but otherwise his posability is pretty strong. If we take a look, I want to come back to the chest in a second, but we can take a look at the legs there. You can see they're very nicely sculpted. There's the wheels. You can see there's already the back of the DeLorean showing in the back of his legs. There's the back. He's got the gull wing doors are there. They can be positioned closer to the body, or they can be positioned out, a la 1980s action figures from the range. You can see there's clear plastic in the windows, and we have two shoulder mounted elements. So this one is his weapon, and you'll see there's an attachment at the end of the weapon there, which we will come back to momentarily. Let me just see if I can show you. I'm going to try and get in quite closely to that so you can see. There you go. It's very small, but you can see it is a Mr. Fusion reactor unit, as used at the end again of the first film and into the second. I thought that was a really nice touch. It does detach from that weapon, so it can be used in vehicle mode as needed. We also on this end have another weapon, but actually is the hook used to support the travel through time, again towards the end of the first film, and it's very nicely done, complete with a wire moulded in around the edges being held on. I thought that was very lovely. He has, I think I've come out too far for you to be able to see this in all its glory. I'll go in again. He has a very nifty head sculpt. He's got the what look like goggles on, which is just lovely. But yeah, it's sort of standard Autobot face sculpt there. And below that, he has the flux capacitor in his chest. Now, of course, from a scale point of view, it's much larger than the flux capacitor that would sit inside the car. But there it is. And underneath it is the various dates and times that flash up during the film, notably October 26th, 1985, October 21st, 2015, and November 12th, 1955. So I think the level of detail there is absolutely wonderful. The head's in a little bit of an awkward place. I don't know whether it's just my copy or that's just how it is. It is a bit on a ball joint, but it seems to not want to. It has a desire to sort of tip down at the front, which makes him a little bit less photogenic than we might like. But again, he's very. Let me move out so you can get the full effect. He is posable. His arms are quite. I mean, mine's still, well, despite the fact I got it a couple of years ago, obviously, he's still quite stiff. That doesn't turn out, but he can do the sort of pose that we want him to do. Looking at his watch, we've got some minimal wrist articulation. He can't do it getting out of himself, obviously. If I had two copies, then maybe I could have cheated it. But you can check his watch. But all in all, it's a really nice figure, and particularly given that the figure has been created around the sort of hero vehicle of the piece, the DeLorean. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes now, he says, to transform Gigawatt into the DeLorean mode. And in that time, perhaps you would, as mentioned at the very top of the video, add a like and possibly add a subscription. If not, as I said, no problem. I'll come back in the blink of an eye as you consider just what is the power of love. That was a little Back to the Future music reference for those of you familiar with the film. Anyway, here is Gigawatt all transformed into his rather nifty, free-rolling DeLorean form. And I have to say, I love the robot mode. This is something else. This is exceptional. I'm going to zoom in a bit more so you can have a real good look at this. So in the first instance, I'll just give you a sort of a 360 of the vehicle, and then we'll go into a bit more of the Back to the Future related details. of which there really are many, and I'm just so impressed with this figure and the details therein and thereof. So first things first, this is the underside. There's poor old Gigawatt's head, but again, some of the nice detailing is there that we saw from his legs. The gun, his little gun, has a very nice little catch there. You can see it there. That tabs in there, and it forms a perfectly viable front part of the underside of the car. It doesn't get in the way, it doesn't cause any clearance issues with the wheels. It's brilliant. And I would just say that the transformation itself, very straightforward. There's no sticky bits. There's no issues whatsoever. It's a very straightforward transformation. Also, as you'll have noticed from the robot mode, we can have the gull wing doors open. They do open. I'd point out, and they both open. So that is super cool. You don't really get, it doesn't do you any favors to open them from an interior point of view, but from a front-on shot or from a slightly angled shot, then it looks good, and it does exactly what the car does. They are opening, but they do tab in because they are part of holding the overall transformation together. So if you are going to open them up, do make sure, this is where I'm going to make a blunder with it, there we go, they snap into place and everything is held neatly back together again. Why does that now look like it isn't? There we go. So already, if it were the car itself on its own, that's an impressive transformation. Now let's look at some of the very specific Back to the Future detailing. So we have, you can see here that we have these wires that are attached around the wheel, and they're all held in, and that follows down the line here of the car. You can see this wiring and insulation panel here. You can see all the lovely, beautifully well coloured detailing here in the back section, the engineering section that sits directly behind the flux capacitor. You've got those thrusters there, or vents, or whatever they are. You've got the license plate, California out of time. So it's even down to the detailing there. Again, more details around the side. Ultimately, fantastic. Now, you saw earlier, excuse my arm, that it came with this attachment, which was the hook. The hook tabs in to this slot here, like this. It is pre-molded into an angle. Is that right? There we go. I will get it in the slot, bear with me. So it goes in pre-angled like that with the hook up there. I will zoom out for the purposes of this accessory. So you can see there that the hook goes there. The idea, of course, being, if you've seen the film, that it chugs along. The hook connects with a wire across the street that will allow an electrical current to pass into the flux capacitor. I hope that's not a spoiler for the film. But again, a really, really nice addition to the figure that becomes another shoulder weapon. But they didn't need to include it, but it's one of those wonderful touches that they include, Hasbro, from time to time, that really make you go, wow. Sometimes they do some quite clumpy and clumsy things and clunky things, and sometimes they do that, and sometimes they also do this. And this is, again, the end of the gun that I showed you earlier, the Mr. Fusion reactor. That can clip on to the back there. It doesn't clip on well. Oh, I've got it the right way around, that would help. But it does clip on, so I'll just zoom in to show you it in situ there. There you go, Mr. Fusion. Can you see all of it on there? There you go, so that just sits nicely in there. And one of the reasons they have the Mr. Fusion is so that the car can fly. And the car flies by the wheels, and this happens on both sides, so I'll show you in a second. The wheels fold over and fold into position, and now we have the flying DeLorean mode. I'll just settle it down there so you can see that. Doesn't look so good there. I'll try and get a picture of it for the end where the wheels are under. But I think, again, it's aided by the fact that it's got transformation joints, but what a nice additional play feature and touch for this model, that the wheels can actually give you Back to the Future 2 vibes. And I know it featured at the end of the first film, but I just think it's a really nifty touch that they didn't, they didn't have to do that for us, but they did. And again, I think all of the detailing on this vehicle is spectacular. It doesn't have the DeLorean symbol at the front there, which is a shame, because I'm pretty sure it's a licensed DeLorean product, because you can't really do the Back to the Future car if you haven't got the rights to produce a DeLorean. But the symbol isn't on there. But you know what? Never mind that. For now, what does matter is what it looks like, and it looks pretty good. And this, coupled with that old school Transformers box art, for me, top notch. For me, as an early stage collector of Transformers goods, this was fantastic, and really gave me a great surge and optimism for what could come next and later in the Rangers. And some of it has been met, and some of it has been the Bumblebee G.I. Joe crossover, which perhaps isn't as successful as this. So you've got my view. My view is it's fantastic. I really like it. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the Knight Rider figure. I mean, we've seen some pictures. I suspect we'll start to get some early doors reviews imminently from those who have, for whatever reason and in whatever way, early access to some of these vehicles. So watch out for that. I've got mine pre-ordered, and it's one of those rare moments where, I will admit it, I've pre-ordered two. So I may actually have one to keep for posterity in the box, and the other one I will have out and mess with. So yeah, I signed up for that. It's official. But I love this. What do you think? Do you love the Gigawatt Back to the Future crossover? Do you think it's one of the more successful crossovers they've done? Are you not that enamored with it? Do you not like it? I'm really keen to hear your views in the comments below. Do let me know your thoughts. Similarly, what else would you like to see Transformers do a crossover with? I know we've got 3 or 4 G.I. Joe crossovers at the time of recording. We've got the Ghostbusters crossover. There's a few others I haven't picked up. I mean, there's the I think the Top Gun Maverick one, which I didn't pick up because it just didn't speak to me, if I'm honest. This screamed to me, but the Top Gun one really didn't. So you tell me what you think would make for a really good Transformers celebratory crossover product. And I'll be looking out for some of your suggestions. I will, of course, comment if you do comment. I will reply rather to your comments. Brilliant. Thank you very much for spending the last nigh on 20 minutes with me. You've been a wonderful audience. I've been the Triple TC, that is the time-travelling toy collector. And this has been Gigawatt, the heroic Autobot time traveller who is the crossover from 2020 with Back to the Future. And it's, I think I've said how much I love it. I can't gush anymore. So, I just hope to see you in a future, or indeed a past video, given we're both time-travelling toy collectors here. And it just remains for me to say that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.